from extension to intelligence, the building blocks for AI-driven advisory in Kenya. Now, where we have this animal called demand-driven extension. Demand-driven extension, which essentially means most farmers are not getting extension. How do we change that picture? Where you have a ratio of extensionists to the farmer 1 to 10,000. So you've got these over 7 million farmers groping in the dark, looking for information on how to maximize output from their enterprise. If you did all those things, then you end up with something that looks like this. A platform or a system that allows free access by everybody, right, to access multilingual advisory that is contextualized to every farmer's contexts, to every farmer's requirement, in a language that they can speak through a multi-channel approach. This information should be very accessible, agnostic to literacy levels, agnostic to gender. It must be in a language that Wekesa can understand. It must be very simple and actionable and very direct. Farmers are very practical people. No stories. Do this, this is the outcome.
In order for you to actually produce at scale, you need working capital, access to credit. And despite this growth, the financing gap continues to be a major constraint. Women get less than 10% of this. The missing link is the investment going to the right places, right? We know that Qubit is set up in Nairobi, but do we need Qubits in the rural areas where these innovations are really happening? Agri-tech, the agri-business is in the rural areas, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be cognizant of this. And what happens back there is that there are a lot of women and men working in those rural areas to make a living. So connectivity in these rural areas, only 6% of rural areas have reliable digital connectivity.
We've had a lot of innovations come to light. I think that in terms of both digital agriculture and the digital finance that's meant to encourage the uptake of digital agriculture, we have most of the products. I think we have a fine enough set of products now that our main priority actually needs to be the science of how we're going to scale them, not just from a distribution perspective, but how we can ensure that farmers trust the people bringing the products to them and ultimately want to use them over the long haul. So I think it's more of a long-term uptake problem nowadays, and we need science there. I think the first role that research plays is the scientists can come up with ways of de-risking agriculture by improving practices and, of course, building new technologies, right? So if farmers and agro-processors, other people in the ecosystem are able to produce things in a more reliable way, it de-risks investments in agri-tech and in kind of brick and mortar agriculture as well. I think there's also a role for behavioral science to understand the uptake of these products, and we're really seeing, especially in kind of this new outcomes-oriented, scaling-oriented development sector of the last few months, that is becoming a priority for many funders.
Grading of different types of agents. So agent grade 1 is earning, you recommend paying 100 shillings. Maybe agent grade 5 is earning 1,000 shillings, right? And we know that even if agents are using us as an entry point, they still have somewhere they want to get to, so we know they're still motivated to perform well under us. And I think in that situation, we'd be willing to give that information, knowing fully well that it motivates the agents to perform. And we know that as other agents enter, we can kind of have a funnel of, bringing in agents. Otherwise, I think we're just putting in data. I wouldn't see the kind of value. I'm not going to take the profile of my best employee and put it on LinkedIn and say, here's my best employee for the world to see. Right? That's just, so like there has to be some kind of balance. I don't know what it is. We do want to tap into a bigger network of agents, but at the same time, we don't want to put our agents out there to be taken away from us. So I'm curious to know if other people have solutions for this.